Good afternoon and welcome to Engage Every Family, the five simple principles. So this is session 5 of a 5-part series where we're providing an overview of the second edition of the Engage Every Family book written by Dr. Steven Constantino. So Dr. Constantino was a teacher, principal, superintendent, interim state superintendent, and is now a professor at the William and Mary College of Education. And on this slide, you'll see on the left-hand side an image of, again, the second edition of his book, Engage Every Family. And on the right-hand side, you'll see his original logic model, which depicts the 5 simple principles and that there is a process for engaging every family and enhancing family engagement. So my name is Caroline Rossen. I am a Family School Partnerships Coordinator at CESA 3 in Fenimore, Wisconsin. I work through a Department of Public Instruction project called the Wisconsin Statewide Parent Educator Initiative and do work in building those partnerships in CESA 3. And joining me today is Darla Burton, and she is the Career and Life Ready Coordinator at CESA 3, which encompasses a lot of different work in supporting students to reach their career and post-secondary goals. So Dr. Constantino brings forward 3 concepts to be kept in mind as you are thinking about how you engage families and working on enhancing family engagement. And the first one is to reflect on why families would choose your school. So if families truly had a choice as to where their children would receive an education, would they choose your district, your school, your classroom? If your answer to this question is yes, then you must ask yourself the logical follow-up question. Why? Why would families choose your school, your classroom, or you as a teacher? What is so compelling about your product that a customer, being a family, would choose it over a growing list of options? So when we do this activity, engage in this reflection with educators, many times they'll say that I know some families that absolutely would say, yes, I would choose your school, your classroom. But then there's other families that they're just not really sure of. And that's what this book is all about, engaging every family. And this speaks to the need to reach out, build relationships with families, get to know them and understand their strengths, needs, challenges, etc. So that brings us to the next concept that he brings forward, and that's to consider and really gain understanding of family circumstances for each and every child. We've all heard those phrases, those kids, that neighborhood, those parents. I know all about that family. I had the older brother in my class. What Dr. Constantino brings forward is thinking about our assumptions. Are we holding assumptions about certain students and their families? Really thinking that through and then challenging yourself with that. And in order to challenge yourself, thinking about what do I really know about that family? And then going on to think about what more do I need to learn or know about that family to truly understand them? And that brings us to the third concept that he brings forward. It's that working with the hard to reach, the unreached, the disengaged families. Dr. Constantino goes on to say, we have labeled families hard to reach when they don't seem to conform to our perceptions of our standard communication protocols. However, they can be reached. It just takes knowing how and the willingness to make the necessary changes. So he first says, look at your communication. Most every organization, including schools, has some type of communication plan, formats, protocols, not only school-wide or system-wide, but also just looking at your classroom communication protocols. Is it really truly working for each and every family? This might mean changing the way you do communicate with some families. So rather than sending an email, maybe it's a text message. Or rather than a phone call, maybe it's a face-to-face conversation, maybe when they're picking up their child after school. And it also could be identifying who the family is comfortable speaking with. Maybe they have some type of relationship and some comfort level with a specific person at the school that could help engage and communicate with you then back in the classroom if it needs to be enhanced. He goes on to say, though, that there could also be a need to find out what the negative catalyst is for disengagement. So if it's not the communication, what is it? What is the reason that some families are not engaging with the school? And that could be a variety of reasons. Again, another reason to reach out, build a relationship, get to know the family, and gain that understanding. So this brings us to the slide about those five simple principles. They're listed here on the slide, and the first one is the principle number one is a culture that engages every family. And Dr. Constantino brings forward that this is the most important and most foundational piece of enhancing family engagement and having meaningful and effective engagement in your school district with families. He said many times this is um, not worked on, not addressed, but it's very important to do so and get that foundational piece in place. The second principle he talks about is communicate effectively and develop relationships. I've already mentioned that, how important that piece is. The third is build family efficacy, and this is all about supporting families to know how to support learning at home. The fourth principle, engage every family in decision making, is all about having families be a partner in their child's learning plan and their child's education, and also being able to be involved on school improvement teams and other groups such as that. But today, in the last session, we are going to focus on engaging the greater community. And that's all those individuals, businesses, organizations that can help support the school and the success of students. One resource I wanted to bring forward that you could utilize are statements that Dr. Constantino had provided in his book, and they align to those five simple principles. And this is a survey that you could take individually or as a staff and kind of see where are we at right now in regard to these statements. And then if you decide to implement some improvement strategies or enhance family engagement, you could come back to this again and take it again and see if anything has changed. So again, they align to those five simple principles. They talk about beliefs and values, communication, link to learning, decision making, and that greater community piece. So let's dive into principle five, the last of the principles. Engage the greater community. Dr. Constantino provides this information in the book. The school district places a strong focus on building and sustaining partnerships external to the school. The school district recognizes the strengths and talents that exist in the community that influence student learning and development, and it seeks to use these to strengthen and support the school, students, and their families. When Darla joins us in just a few minutes, she's going to talk a lot about these type of connections that are made between schools and community that can help support student learning. So in each of his principles, Dr. Constantino provides some objectives, or what does that look like then, right? So for principle five, the first objective he brings forward is that partnerships are made with individuals and organizations in work and community places to take on mentoring roles within student internship and work placement programs. The partnerships also have a role to play within other activities such as community-based learning projects, guest speaker programs, job shadowing opportunities, apprenticeship programs, and tutoring services. So a wide array of opportunities for learning between the school and the community. He goes on to define this principle five with his second and third objective. So 5.2 is that partnerships are made with other learning institutions, other schools, technical colleges, universities, and other training providers in order for students to pursue learning opportunities, build their skills, and achieve learning credentials. And 5.3, opportunities evolve from the school for creating and implementing adult learning and community development courses to be run within the school building. So 5.2 really about connecting with those institutes of higher education, those other technical training programs that are out there, and really getting students and families to understand those opportunities available. And 5.3, really kind of taking on that collaborative learning support that can be done to really provide capacity building to adults in the community, to help them not only to support their community and their school, but also the students within them. I wanted to bring forward this best practices document. So Dr. Constantino, for each principal, has developed best practice descriptions. And then my project that I work with, WISPE, or the Wisconsin Statewide Parent Educator Initiative, has developed some best practice examples. So this is a document that you could utilize to kind of identify, okay, where are we at now and where do we want to be as far as the best practice description? And then with the best practice examples, here's some things that we can actually do, some action steps that we can take. So this is a document for you, a second resource for you to be able to utilize. So principle 5, engaging that greater community. Dr. Constantino has like 3 points that he makes about that. That the school district recognizes it can be a focal point for communities to come together and engage in capacity building and renewal. So again, building up the community, right? To bring everyone together in collaboration and in capacity building to learn more, collaborate more effectively for the success of the community. The second bullet point, he says, the school district views itself as an important community asset and has community representatives on the school's governing body. So again, that communication and collaboration with community members to understand how the school and community can work together in a productive way. And the third bullet point recognizes that the greater community plays an integral role in the educational success of the school. The school can't stand alone and be successful. They need their community. They need other members, other institutes of higher education, training programs, employers to be able to support them to be successful. And the benefits then that Dr. Constantino brings forward of school community partnerships that we're talking about is improved attendance. That's one just right off the bat, right? Check that off. That's great. If students are attending school, attending the programs, classes, coursework that they're engaging in at school. Supporting a diverse student population. Not everyone's built for a four-year college, right? That's not necessarily going to be their pathway. So providing these ample opportunities for students depending on their challenges, their strengths, their needs, their preferences, to be able to take a pathway that's available through their community and through their area. Collaborative after-school programs. Again, the school can't stand alone and needs the support of the community for really successful and robust after-school programs. Positive role models for students, a great way, and in the next bullet point, mentorships, right? A great way to build those relationships between students and their possible employers for the future. Those mentorships can help grow that student in so many ways to be prepared for the workforce or education, whichever way they would choose to go, whichever pathway. The next bullet point is community members become more knowledgeable and gain appreciation and understanding, basically, of the school. Again, we don't want to work in silos. We need to work together for success of our community, our school, and our students. And then the last one, educators gain insight into workforce demands. By that collaboration that takes place, those partnerships that are built, educators can understand what fields are in high demand out in the workforce, and provide that information to their students and their families. So with that, I'm going to ask Darla to join in the conversation. So again, Darla Burton is an employee and works at CESA 3. She's on the CESA 3 Career and Life Ready team. She wears many hats to support students and their families to be successful in whatever path that they may choose. So with that, Darla, I'm going to ask you to join the conversation and basically take over here for a while and talk to us more about your role at CESA 3 and the Career and Life Ready team and all the different aspects of the work that they do.
Wonderful. Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, I'm Darla Burton. I am part of the Career and Life Ready team at CESA 3, which is Southwest Wisconsin, and we're located in Fenimore. Jessica Helms is our youth apprenticeship lead, and Ned Lease just joined us last fall as another youth apprenticeship coordinator. Our apprenticeship program is growing by leaps and bounds. Tom Martin has been here the longest as our Carl Perkins and CTE coordinator. And then I work with a couple different programs, academic and career plan, and as the career pathways coordinator, which I'll talk to you about today. So, so academic and career planning, career pathway maps, youth apprenticeship. I really enjoy transition. My background is rehabilitation psychology. So I like working with people with disabilities and helping them find jobs and connections in any way. So I always say I speak DPI, DWD, and DVR. I've kind of had one foot in the education world and one foot in the workforce development world for a long time. I did spend some time at the state with DWD in the youth apprenticeship program as well. So just all things workforce development.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, so when Caroline came to me with this project, and we were talking about the different things in the book that you're taking a look at, I said, I'm sure the schools are already doing all these things, right? Academic and career plans is new as of 2017, which sounds like a while ago, but we had the pandemic in the middle of that, so kind of slowed things down. But it just puts a nice frame around everything that schools are doing. So. And we can go to the next slide. And you may have heard it called different things. So sometimes it's called the Academic and Career Plan, or PI 26. In Wisconsin, it's a state statute, Public Instruction 26, or Education for Employment, E for short. So it goes by a lot of different names, but it's all the same thing. And in Wisconsin, it requires that every student in 6th, 8th, and 10th grade have an academic and career plan done. Now that might look a little different in each district. In Wisconsin, we're very local control. So each district can decide what that plan looks like. And then they need to have that posted on their website. And all 31 of our CESA 3 districts have an ACP on their website. So the next question then is, how is that implemented? And that may look a little bit different in each district as well. But for the most part, it's work-based learning, talking with students about their interests and goals. And we also have Xello, that's Xello, that's provided by the Department of Public Instruction in Wisconsin to every public district, 6th through 12th grade. All right. And so ACP, this is just the definition from the website, and I have the ACP linked there if you want to know all about academic and career planning. The Department of Public Instruction has tons of resources. There are self-assessments for your district to do. Every CESA has an academic and career plan coordinator, and we're available to come and work with your district at no charge in CESA 3 if you want more assistance with putting that plan into place, updating it, wherever you're at in that process. And then that's guided by the Wisconsin Career Readiness Standards. And that's new also. So that's empowering students to make informed decisions about their academic and career futures. We know that if students have a better idea of where they're going, they're going to be more engaged. And so just trying to integrate that family and community and labor data, all those kinds of things, along with Xello, personal interests, and what that might look like as a career for students, and just to make them realize all the different things that are out there and available to them. Part of our goal is to keep local talent local. So we want students to know they don't have to move away and go to the big city to get a good job and be paid well. We have that right here in Southwest Wisconsin.
All right. Thank you.
And we really stress that every student have an academic and career plan. So I always remind districts that an IEP, or individualized education plan, is not an ACP. So even though students might have an IEP, that can be incorporated into their academic and career plan. So they should be looking at careers and what kinds of support they might need in place to start out. We help students with job placement as well and connecting to the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation if required. We work closely with the WIOA, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. So we have a lot of different things, programs and funds that we can access depending on what employment barrier students and families may face. So then once the academic and career plan is in place, we have the career pathway map in Wisconsin as well. This is also a statewide program. And there's, if you click on that, that's the website that the Department of Public Instruction has. And you'll see just tons of resources down the left-hand side and the definition of the career pathway maps. This is grant funded. It's a part of Carl Perkins in Wisconsin. It just started in 2000. So I started here at CESA 3, I'm sorry, 2020. And when this grant came about, so we had no maps in 2020. And that year was spent putting our infrastructure in place. And now, 5 years later, we have over 300 maps in CESA 3. So your districts have been working hard getting the industries in place, advisory councils, talking with employers and institutes of higher education and their own staff, so to put each of these templates in place for the various industries.
That's
And
fantastic.
what it,
It's a lot of
yeah, it's been a lot of work really fast, and just so proud of what they've done because it really is helpful. I always say if you don't know where you're going, you're probably never going to get there, right? So the map really does guide students much better, I think, than just, pick what you want to be and then try and figure it out. So yeah, it's really taken shape.
great. Yeah. Do you mind if we just pause here just for a second on your slides, just to talk a little bit more about that? So that was like a 5-year process. And
Mhm.
I'm guessing it took a lot of collaboration between uh, institutes of higher education, school
Mhm.
districts, employers, other training programs, right? That
Right.
you had to come together and really develop these maps. Is that, if you could explain
Yes.
a little bit more
Mhm.
about that process, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, so initially we pulled together advisory councils. And in our area, we're fortunate. Our regional career pathway area is the same as almost exactly the same as our CESA and almost exactly the same as our technical college boundaries as well. So River Valley is in MadRep, which is Madison. Otherwise, the other 30 districts are part of we're Prosperity Southwest, which also involves our regional economic development organizations in each county. So like Ron Brisbois in Grant County has been very involved. And then our other uh, economic development coordinators in Crawford, Iowa, um, Richland, and Lafayette County. And then we work with Southwest Tech closely, so the career and tech prep person there, and University of Wisconsin Platteville. So we only have one technical college and one university in our region as well, which also makes it a little easier to coordinate. But yeah, so we've gotten together with each of those industry areas and talked with them about courses that are available, what they're tuned in. Southwest Tech is especially tuned into what employers want students to be trained in when they graduate in entry level types of things. The university has been beneficial in looking at the academics that the high school provides and what's going to be beneficial for students to have before they enter post-secondary education to make that as successful as possible. Southwest Tech's been coming out and working with every senior that plans to go to Southwest Tech when they graduate. And we're using the maps to talk about their academic plan, their career plan, what that looks like at Southwest Tech, which classes they can take, which ones they've maybe already taken. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Wow. That's great. And I mean, ongoing too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
ongoing collaboration. And really it sounds like it kind of focuses down or works towards supporting each individual student, where you talked about not only just understanding what's available, but really working with that student and that family
it
around.
really does. Yeah, individualizes it
Yeah,
very nicely.
yeah. All right.
Hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll go on to the next slide.
Yeah, and so there are 10 different industry sectors that students can choose from. And you can, if you want to click on that, it will take us to that list. Yep, if you scroll down. And those are updated about every 2 years. So things are, like you said, it's always kind of a work in progress. Things are constantly evolving and changing. And then we started out choosing what's most prominent in our area. So we started with agriculture, of course, in Southwest Wisconsin. And we were the first consortium to have energy. We have, we're a large energy corridor, and with the windmills and solar panels and things like that in this area. So
Yeah,
we are one of the only ones that have the energy map completed. Healthcare is huge, of course. Yeah, so just lots of things that students can choose from.
great. And this is a DPI website as well, right?
Right. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else on
And
this slide?
uh, no, I can talk a little bit more about those other things on the next one. So I just linked one of the map. This is a template, so all the districts use a template when they're developing this specifically for their district. So you'll see at the top it says the name of the region. For us, that's Prosperity Southwest. So we're in the REDO, they call it, the Regional Economic Development Organization is Prosperity Southwest for our area, includes 6 counties. And so you'll see every map is set up the same across the state. So down the left-hand side is the education level. And yeah, you can just scroll back. That's page 2.
Okay.
Yep. Page 1 is the educational levels. So if a student completes high school, they can expect to get a job as maybe a landscaper, a construction laborer. So there are just some examples given there. It's not um, all encompassing, but and then on our actual map, you'll see the salary ranges there. So we vet that for our region, and the state double checks it for us with our economists at DWD, and it will give actual salary expectations for our region. And then those jobs across the top are like in the design area, the general construction area. So they can choose from those bigger groups and then go on down the list. So with a little bit more education or training and a registered apprenticeship, it opens up more jobs for them and occupations, and then the salaries tend to go up as well. And then on down the left, you'll see the certification or technical diploma, and those link to the actual classes at Southwest Tech. And same for the associate degree and the bachelor degree and beyond. Those are linked to UW-Platteville. And there are post-secondary options across the bottom as well. So students can see, depending on how much education they want to go for, sometimes they don't realize that it does require a lot of additional training maybe for what they're interested in. So it really helps them map that out.
Wow, that's a great resource.
Yeah, and then the next page, this is for the district. So you'll see at the top it says in high school. So they'll put like in Barneveld High School. So this is each district, and CESA 3 has their own map with their own career and tech ed courses that are available in their district. So students can choose from those. And a lot of times they'll link right to their student course book. And then additional employer recommended courses, like we know if you want to become an electrician, it's good to have algebra. Students don't always realize that. They think they're just going to work with their hands and off they go. But it's great to have a good understanding of algebra as they go into the construction field. And then we have the career and technical student organizations listed for each industry. Skills USA is a big one for architecture and construction, and that has local, regional, state, and national competitions. It's phenomenal. If you've never gone, I always encourage everybody to check it out. I've seen employers lined up 9 deep to hire the winners.
Oh,
So it's
perfect.
competitive, and the students that are there are highly skilled. So
Great.
and it just gives everybody a chance to try some different things out, meet some new people. And then over on the right, you see the career pathway opportunities. Those are state, regional, and local. So districts can put in what they have for, if they do field trips, or we have like Scrub Club for the health occupations, things like that. They can put those there. And then we have our work-based learning programs. These are available in every district in CESA 3. Employability skills is 90 hours, which is a great place to start if students haven't worked before, maybe don't know exactly what they want to go into. They can start when they're 14 and take until they're 21 to complete that. And they can gain the skills on the job, in the classroom, or the community. And then
Great.
we have co-ops and our youth apprenticeship program, and that too is available in every district. Then
Okay.
down below, we have our industry recognized credentials. So this is where we've had the advisory councils with actual employers from all over the state in construction or health, or whichever industry. And we've discussed with them about what kind of credentialing is important for them. Just gonna take a little drink of water here. Talking too much. So the certifications are available. We have kits that the districts can check out to provide those for their students. Some of those come with additional funding from DPI, the Career and Tech Ed Incentive Grant. So just all kinds of things available with each of those certifications as well. The youth apprenticeship class will pay for those certifications in our consortium, as well as related instruction.
Okay. So that's this box right here. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's all of them actually in that whole section in the industry
Overview.
recognition. Yeah.
Okay. A lot. Yeah. There's a lot of information to share and a lot available, I can tell.
There is, and all of those are live links. So it's really interactive if people use it electronically.
All
Yep,
right.
and the third page is just where the student can plug all that in and map out their courses along with their school counselor on what and when they plan to take. And that can be part of their academic and career plan as well.
Okay. So if a family was interested in learning more, or a staff member at school, or anyone really, who would they contact at the school to learn more about this, or maybe if they could view this pathway document from the school?
Mhm. So each district has a school to work designee, someone designated in their school to be in charge of the academic and career plan and youth apprenticeship and career pathway maps.
Okay.
And if you're not sure who that is, you can always contact us. We have a list for all the schools too. So,
Okay. Great.
mhm.
Anything else on this document, Darla? Or
No, I think that's it.
So let's go on to the next slide.
Yeah, so often we're seeing that the academic and career plan leads to their career pathway, which will often lead them to a youth apprenticeship program. So that's kind of our capstone program in our consortium.
Okay.
So youth apprenticeship has been around for 30 years. We're the oldest in the country, and our registered apprenticeship or adult apprenticeship has been around in Wisconsin for over 110 years. We're also the oldest and the largest in the country as well. So very proud of that. That youth apprenticeship there, I have it linked to the Department of Workforce Development page with all of the information. Actually, this one goes to our CESA page, which has more information specifically for the districts and parents. We have a parent page there and links, and yeah, you'll find all of us there as well.
There's the team.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've just been working on our um, statistics for this year, and when you were talking about the different principles in this book, it just follows so closely. All of those improved attendance. I encourage districts to enroll students who have a deficit in attendance. Often people think that they should have good attendance before they can go to an employer where they're going to be expected to have good attendance, right? But sometimes we see that, academics are just not for everybody. And when they get out of the school and go work hands-on, I always tell my students, if you're too sick to go to school, you're too sick to go to work. And suddenly they're not so sick. So they are able to, they come in and do their coursework and then go to work in the afternoon a lot of times. So we do see improved attendance. We see grades go up, GPAs go up. They just it really makes that connection, that relevant connection between what am I learning and why do I have to learn this stuff,
Yeah.
We go ahead.
Relevant and meaningful to them, right?
Right. Yeah. We have this year we have 15% of our students are either at risk of not graduating or have an IEP. So we always say every student is able to work, and we allow every student to apply, and we'll work with them. The job isn't always guaranteed because it is with a real live employer and a real live job site. So sometimes we just aren't able to find what they're interested in, but we do our best to try and place every student that's interested in working. We also support a diverse student population. This year, our goal was 3%. We just missed that at 2.9% with our minority participation. So we'll be gearing that up next year, even more so, try and reach every family in CESA 3. It's collaborative. Students can work after school, weekends, holidays, summer accounts for the Youth Apprenticeship Program. It's a minimum of 450 hours of paid work, and students typically have more than that. We often see that in the 1,000-hour range when when you count summer and everything too. So it's usually not an issue, unless they're one of those 3 sports students or something, but they're able to get those 450 hours. It sounds like a lot to a sophomore, especially when they're signing up for the program, but it averages out to about 10 hours a week. Positive role models, the YAs work right alongside adults. So you'll see students snap to attention pretty fast when they're called, they're accountable for their work, they're accountable for their job and how they do that. So they grow up very fast. I often see students that start out at the beginning of the school year very shy. A lot have never worked and they're quiet. And by the end of the school year, they're giving me a tour, of their job and proud to show me what they've done. And mentorships, every youth apprenticeship comes with an adult mentor on the job. The community members become more knowledgeable and gain appreciation. And we often see the employers like that. It kind of reinvigorates the older workers and why they got into their job and their role. So they get to teach the students everything they know, and the students teach the other employees things too. So we have some students that are highly technical, have a lot of skills in technology and can show the employer new things that maybe they aren't aware of. So, and the educators gain insight into the workforce as well. So it really connects them to the community.
Great. Yeah. A lot to be learned both ways, right? That
Right.
collaboration is
Yeah.
wonderful.
These are just all the programs we have in CESA 3. You'll see the middle section, there's ag, architecture, arts. You can see the program has grown every year. This is the most students we've ever had. We have 563 this year. And statewide, we have over 11,000. So this is also a statewide program. You can see it's just growing
That is
every year.
wonderful. Wonderful and very impressive. Um, and I'm sure I'm thinking about families, right? And always wanting the best for their children and that type of thing. And I'm sure finding these pathways and these workplaces, work opportunities where students are thriving is so supportive for the families to be able to say, oh, my kiddo is really going to do something that he likes, he or she likes, and will be successful at it. So yeah, this is great work and very needed work.
It's a fabulous program. I think I've been involved with it for a long time, and every year I've had a student tell me I wouldn't have graduated, without youth apprenticeship. So it really does change lives. Those aren't just numbers. those are lives that are changed every year. So it really launches students. It was developed to for the students that maybe weren't thinking about post-secondary education, but that wanted to be above a minimum wage job when they graduated. And
Mhm.
it does that very well. And then students often go from there. So, and they can
Exactly.
go into the registered apprenticeship, which the average is $70,000 a year when they complete.
Wow.
So,
That's
yeah,
wonderful. Yeah. So satisfying and really, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but really helps families to have more confidence, right? And not worry so much about what their child might do after high school.
right.
Anything on this slide, um, Darla?
No, that's just, yep, we just really stress every family, every student that, that is, that we'll work with.
Okay.
So if anyone has questions or wants more information, I would encourage them to contact any of us, no matter where their student is at or their district is at in the process. Like we said, it's always a work in progress, and we're here to help.
All right. Wonderful. I know you guys do a lot of hard work. You're always very, very busy.
It is, it's fun.
So thank you so much for sharing that information with us. And those that are listening, just a reminder that you can contact Darla or anyone else on the team at CESA 3 at any time if you have any questions. So thanks
Yeah,
again.
thanks for the opportunity.
We're going to go back to Dr. Steven Constantino and his book. So, in his book, in various places, he brings forth points to ponder. And here in Principle 5, Engaging the Greater Communities, he's got a few that are on this slide. So, you thinking about how do you presently engage the community in your classroom, in your school, in your district? And then how does that translate into student learning? And I think Darla shared in numerous ways that the work that her and her team do that do that exact thing. They translate that into student learning. But think about that at your individual school or within your individual classroom. The second bullet point, how can you enhance community engagement to support learning for all students? So if you think maybe you can do more, think about how can you? Well, you can reach out to Darla and the rest of the team at CESA 3 to learn more about how to do that. And then his third bullet point, how can community support assist with the social, emotional, and health aspects of your students' lives? So we talked about academics, getting that job placement, doing students doing something that they enjoy and they're successful at. That all then carries over to their social, emotional, and their health, their individual health, and then actually the community's health as well, and the success of the community. So thinking about how important it is for those collaborations and for those opportunities to collaborate and work together to support student success. So Dr. Constantino goes on to say that family engagement is not optional. In some way or another, you're going to be engaging with families through your classroom, through your school, through your district. So thinking about what do you want? What do you want that engagement to look like? And if it's not where you are satisfied with it at this point, you want to enhance it a little bit. Think about what you're willing to do to get there, to get to a point where you are engaging with families the way that you would like to. He also says you gotta wanna. So he goes on to say your personal desire to make a difficult change, or I would say any change, starts with the very simple notion that the change is something you desire. So you have to want to engage with families effectively. And if you see the need to implement some improvement strategies, you gotta wanna. He also speaks to the fact that there's a need for leadership to engage every family. So this is especially true at systems level, school-wide level. You need leadership that is strong, committed, courageous, and that's essential to that long-term success. And he brings forth 4 bullet points regarding that. That leadership needs to acknowledge that change has to happen, that the engagement of families could and should be enhanced, having the will to make the change, to make that, that's a lot of work, right? To make a system change, to face and overcome any fear that may be there, maybe fear of the unknown, of when you open up that box and you elevate family voice, um, there could be some fear of the unknown. what that would do or change. And then the fourth bullet point, creating the conditions for engagement. So really looking at what does it look like now in your district, school, or classroom, and what needs to change as far as those conditions for engagement. And I would say even if you're looking at this individually in your classroom, you could utilize those four bullet points as well.
Carolyn, can I just make a
Yep.
comment on that?
Okay.
So
Yep.
I think, when you're thinking about change, oftentimes we think it has to be something big and dramatic, and it really doesn't. We've made just some small, simple changes in our consortium, and it's tremendously increased the number of students with disabilities employed. And one of those has been a digital resume. And so, sometimes students have a hard time interviewing, and especially if you have anxiety and you've never done it before, talking with their teacher and being filmed, just talking about what they're good at, what they're interested in, what kind of work they want to do, and showing that to employers has, we had just a tremendous response. We had three students interview, did digital resumes. Four students were hired. So the community loved the videos so much that they just instantly hired those students. And it doesn't have to be a 40-hour a week job. We start small and it'll go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up because Dr. Stephen Constantino, excuse me, talks about not doing more and probably not necessarily needing to make a big change, right? But
Right.
just doing things differently. And that's what you probably found, right? That digital
Mhm.
resume, just doing it differently, has provided more access for students and their families.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. So this last slide, I believe it's the last slide. What are your next steps? You could connect back with me or Darla if you have any questions or want more information or more support around engaging with families and supporting students with their career goals. You can take what you learned today and talk with others at your district to see how you might be able to use and apply it. You could review your district family engagement data alongside any other data. Darla brought forth a lot of information about different data that your school would have and really disaggregating that data and analyzing it to identify any next steps that you'd want to take to be able to engage families and students in their education. You could buy the Engage Every Family book and share that information and dive into that. And you could review Steven Constantino's website information and resources. And I think that is actually the next slide and the last slide that I have. I do have some resources here from Dr. Constantino. He's got a great website with information. He has an online learning platform as well. And that second bullet point, practical applications for classroom teachers, is a great document. It simply lays out 10 practical applications, again, to do things differently, but not do more. So thank you for joining us today. We're glad you were able to listen in. And again, contact Darla or myself or anyone else at CESA 3 if you have more questions about how to support student learning.